See. All right. Hey, Richmond. My name is Maisie Zucchini. I am a first grade teacher at JL Francis in Richmond Public Schools. I'm a member of LeVar Stoney's Mayor Teacher Advisory Council, and this week is Teacher Appreciation Week, and we wanted to shed some light on teacher voices as well as what teachers are doing in the time of coronavirus and celebrate them. So we have a member of the school board, Jonathan Young. Thank you for joining.
My pleasure. Thank you, Maisie.
Yeah, so if you wouldn't mind just introducing yourself.
Yeah, sure. Thank you, Maisie. So I have the privilege of representing Southwest Richmond on the school board, or the 4th District. And I'm a teacher myself. I'm an instructor down at Virginia State University. And like our students in Richmond Public Schools, our semester or academic year came to a halt a lot sooner than any of us were anticipating. And for all of our seniors, for persons that I've worked with for 4 years, that was particularly difficult, just because you recognize that you perhaps won't see some of those students again. Didn't have an opportunity to give them a hug, to congratulate them, pat them on the back, participate in a graduation. So I certainly understand and empathize with all of our 2,000 some teachers in Richmond Public Schools, how very difficult this was for so many reasons.
Yeah. Well, thank you for recognizing that. Just to get started, just to help viewers get to know who you are, we wanted to ask a fun icebreaker question.
Sure.
So what is the first restaurant you'll visit when quarantine's over, and is there any specific dish you'll get?
Well, in regards to the latter, I'm a pretty simple kind of guy. Typically I'm a hamburger, French fries kind of guy, and
Okay.
I've got a lot of restaurants in Richmond that I love, but and there's certainly plenty in my community that I'm really excited to get back to. But one place that I'll probably have to visit first is Sidewalk Cafe. It's anytime that I have somebody in from town, that's typically one of the first places that I take them to in regards to eating out.
Great answer. So to jump in, we all know our most impactful teacher. They stick well in our memories. Do you have a significant teacher in your past who you continue to look up to, who's directly impacted your life and your career path?
Yeah, a lot of people. So I actually, so I had the privilege of having my father as a teacher. Believe it or not, seventh grade Virginia history.
Wow.
And yeah, and what's I had this epiphany maybe several years ago, maybe 4 or 5 years ago. I can't recall, but I had specifically this epiphany where I realized, I guess the older that I got, I'm 43 now, that I looked around. I'm like, wow, I'm really my father. The apple doesn't fall far from the tree, and I just, what I mean by that is, I looked around my office down at VSU, and for example, my entire walls, all my walls are comprised of pictures of my students, and I have a large band, 2 large bands have written little remarks on. And anyhow, so I share that to say that yeah, the older that I've gotten, perhaps not surprising, I realized my father, who's I referenced a teacher. He's retired, but he still teaches a couple of classes that I really did follow in his footsteps. And it's funny because I remember he used to, for example, eat his lunch in his classroom. He didn't eat in the break room with all of his colleagues, with the other teachers, but instead he ate in a room with students that didn't eat in that cafeteria, that would come in. And like him, I spend my time, majority of my time, with my students in lieu of my colleagues and other faculty down at VSU. So if I had to say one person, it'd be my dad.
I love that answer. So moving forward and celebrating teacher voices around Richmond, is there an anecdote or a story you've recently heard of, again, in the time of coronavirus, that has inspired you, or is a story that you want to be shared?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, countless, truthfully. I really think it's important to note that our 2,000 plus teachers are just extraordinary folks. And, Maisie, when I ran for office 4 years ago and knocked on doors religiously for 8 or 9 months, there would be a recurring theme. A lot of folks at the doorstep would say something like the following: "Well, Jonathan, we really struggle. We really struggle in Richmond to get great teachers, to get great instructors." And I said, "No, that's not true. That's not true. Our challenge is retaining our people. It's our constant churn or attrition." So I say that to say that yeah, our teachers have been just doing extraordinary things, and whether it's Allison Okubi at Westover Hills Elementary and putting together her parade of teachers and going out in the community to celebrate our students and reconnect with folks more than that you can do in a virtual way, or it's I just traded notes with Eileen Atkinson at Patrick Henry, and she put together this beautiful collage of all of her folks to send to the students, to the family, Patrick Henry family. It's really remarkable how people are finding new ways to reach out and touch folks, and to remind people about what's most important.
Yeah. And tying off of that, I think you've kind of touched upon it in other avenues, but what does education mean to you?
Everything. It's everything. Absent an education, we are limited in our capacity to change the world. Uh, I it's who I am. It's what I do. I Most of my time I spend, most of my students are I'm referring to my collegiate students, are business majors, and they all know that though I have all world of respect for their majors and for their preferred professions, and they're all going to go and do big things, and I'm really proud of them. That I think that there is no more admirable profession than public service and giving back. And on the front lines of that is being a teacher. Absent teaching profession, nothing else matters, and nothing else will materialize. Both my parents are teachers, so I guess I knew very early on, to be blunt, I knew very early on that material wealth and making a lot of money wasn't important. And I remind my students all the time that when you leave this place, when you leave this earth, nobody's going to write on your tombstone what your title was or how much money you made or how big your house was. But instead, they're likely to write things like, "Did you make a difference? Did you leave this place a little better than you found it?" And if there's a silver lining relevant to this awful experience that we're in now, this pandemic, perhaps it's that. Maybe it's reordering priorities, and I've been trading notes with my students, and they, the wise people that they are reflecting on that and sharing that in their perspective pertinent to this virus.
Yeah. Um, Touching on that silver lining, touching on leaving the place a little bit better than you found it, whether it's something that RPS is doing already, or something that they can grow upon, what do you see RPS needing to do? How are we going to move forward? How can we improve what we're already doing?
Yeah. So first of all, I'm very pleased that, again, I guess even out of bad, something good can happen. And specifically, I think one of those opportunities for us to improve pertains to complementing or supplementing our in-classroom instruction with a more profound virtual learning component. I'm really excited about equipping all of our students with Chromebooks and providing them tools to continue to learn, even when they're not in a physical space in the building. But what's more than that, I'm very excited about the opportunity going forward prayerfully, and we have initiated these deliberations relevant to what does a school year look like? What should the school year look like? I'm a big advocate, for example, of a year-round school year. When I ran for office 4 years ago, I advocated that we consider a year-round school year, something that, for example, Chesterfield piloted with a couple of schools. Hopewell is now doing, and then of course all around the country folks do it, and to address specifically that summer brain drain. And we also we know about, we've invested a lot of resources. We have some really terrific partners in the community that are helping us with after school hours, and providing meaningful, rich learning opportunities immediately subsequent when the school date ends. So for me, when I reflect on where are we going, I actually put together a roadmap, for lack of better description, a COVID-19 plan with 10 different elements, and a couple of those elements pertain to the school year. And because we don't know, none of us know what's going to happen in the next few months or even a year. I think it's really prudent that we consider some arguably really radical changes. God forbid the virus, for example, even if we are able to open, and prayerfully we will on time, but if it emerges again. So there have been, for example, Gavin Newsom out in California introduced a proposal that looks a lot like what mine could look like, specifically an on-day, off-a-day schools. So in other words, you would go to school Monday, Friday, or alternatively go to school Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday. The idea to reduce your density in the building, and of course, and then the school day would be longer, to reduce the density in the building to achieve more social distancing. All of that prayerfully won't be needed, but I do think that in thinking about how we achieve social distancing, how we address this pandemic, perhaps we can do some of the kinds of things that we should have done a long time ago.
Yeah. Well, I know that I speak for all RPS teachers when I say thank you for helping us walk through the unprecedented maze that we're currently in.
Yeah, it's scary, isn't it? I mean, it's just I find for myself personally, it's just the anxiety of not knowing. It's not knowing what's going to happen. How long is this going to go? What's normal going to look like a few months from now? Yeah, it's
Most definitely. Yeah. And then in a more direct way, I guess, I was just wondering if you had any other direct messages you wanted to send to Richmond Public School teachers, faculty, staff, again, in accordance with Teacher Appreciation Week.
Yeah, thank you. God bless you. Love you. You're doing amazing work. I don't think I've ever been prouder of all of our 2,000 some teachers, not just our teachers, but all of our staff, our kids. Really, really, really proud of all of our teachers. The truth is that if you teach in Richmond Public Schools, you are in the front lines of making a difference that cannot be measured. And no one would have guessed just a few months ago, that we would be in a circumstance where we don't get to see our children, we don't get to see our students, we don't get to, in a physical way, share um, share with them all who we are and reciprocate and learn about them. But our teachers are making the very best of a really challenging situation, and so I just want to convey my gratitude to them. Please keep it up, and I'm very confident that all my colleagues would concur with everything that I just shared as it relates to our support and our gratitude, uh, and I can promise you that we're going to make sure that we do everything in our power to do more than just lean on complimentary words, but show that in other more tangible ways too.
Yes, I agree. I wish that for us as well. Thank you so much, school board member Jonathan Young. It was a pleasure speaking with you. Hopefully we can together lift voices and remind teachers during Teacher Appreciation Week of our gratitude towards their efforts.
Well, thank you for what you do, Maisie. I really appreciate the opportunity, and keep up the awesome work. We
Thanks
need
so
you.
much. Thanks so much. Well, once again, it was a pleasure talking to you, and I hope we can reconnect soon.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.